Alright guys, welcome back to Occult Perspectives. I'm finally going to get into the lesser banishing ritual of the Pentagram. So, if your path is more Western ceremonial magic, or if you're going with the Golden Dawn tradition, the first exercise that we taught is the relaxation ritual, which was in my very first video. Something else you should also be doing is keeping a dream diary and a ritual diary or journal. And then you should also be doing the tarot contemplation, which you log your experiences from the tarot contemplation and the relaxation ritual in your ritual journal after you've completed them, and you record your dreams in your dream log. And you should be using other resources other than my videos if you're going to be going down this path. This is a serious path of transformation if you really are going to use these powers and call upon these sacred names of gods. Not gods plural, but gods singular. It's different archetypes or aspects of the one creator, which we're going to get into. And this, I have a feeling, is going to be split into two different videos because it's so extensive, and I want to make sure I cover all the angles, and I want to pull from some other references that I have as well. So relaxation ritual and the tarot contemplation have been the exercises so far. And then you could also do a tarot divination after the tarot contemplation. But tarot divinations typically you don't do all the time unless you're going to be doing a spell or casting for something. You want to make sure that it either isn't going to have a negative effect if you go forward with it. Now, if you do the divination and you get some kind of a negative reading from it, that kind of tells you right there, hey, look, you have a choice. You can proceed in this operation, or you can take a step back and not take any chances. And that's when you're dealing with gray magic. So tarot divinations you want to do before you're doing gray magic. Pretty much any time, every time. But anyway, the lesser banishing ritual of the Pentagram is basically like the prerequisite ritual. It's like the first ritual of any Western ceremonial magic curriculum. It's a basic banishing not only of the physical space, but it's clearing your internal temple as well, and transmuting yourself to be more in alignment with Source. Okay, I actually do have, close that door, journal here somewhere, if I can find it. Okay, yeah, here we go. I had covered it briefly in one of the other videos, but I just wanted to review the 3 types of magic real quick. Excuse me. White magic is for the purpose of reaching Source or the higher self. It's protection magic. Black magic is for the purpose of physical or non-physical harm to yourself or others consciously or unconsciously. And I highly warn against doing any kind of black magic. It's only going to come back and hurt you in the end. And I heard an example somewhere, I think it was in Modern Magic by Michael Craig, that someone knew their black magic had worked because something had come back and happened to them that was bad. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know why they would cause that on themselves. And then finally, gray magic is for the purpose of causing either physical or non-physical good to yourself or others, and is done consciously or unconsciously. So that's how he kind of differentiates the 3 different types of magic, or different degrees of magic, if you will, because it's all really the same energy. It's being used for different purposes. That's getting more into Hermeticism. Different degrees of the same force. All right. And then there's also a lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram, which I'm going to get into as well. It's not as discussed as often. I can't find a lot of information on it, honestly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, from everything that I've found and from my experiences, I'm going to share how I recommend going about doing the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram. And then before I move further as well, if you want to learn more about the symbolism, like the symbology of the pentagram, there's a really cool Disney video. It's called Donald Duck, the Golden Mean. I was really surprised. A friend had told me about it a long time ago, how much occult information is in this little Disney clip, and it does kind of go into some of the details of the sacred geometry of the pentagram. So I really recommend looking into that. Okay, now the reasons for performing the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, and I'm going to follow along. You can follow along as well. I kind of wrote my notes from this book. I've talked about it a lot before. Modern Magic, Donald Craig. He talks about the reasons for performing the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Come to know yourself. When you do something like this, when you have the self-discipline to actually go through with a practice such as this, like every single day, you're going to notice a lot of differences about yourself. You're going to notice that you have things will be more in order for you. Things will manifest easier for you. You'll be kind of more on top of things. You'll be able to be more an observer. You can also be you're going to be present and involved too, but you can also kind of see it from the outside as well as just being on the inside looking out. Now you can see it on the outside in, so you're seeing it from more angles. You're really just becoming more aware, coming to know thyself, thy true self, not what the culture and the society or your parents or whatever other influences have told you are, but what your true self is, your highest self. It expands your aura. It can align or activate your chakras. Somebody, he kind of mentions here in this book that somebody might say, oh, like, your new hair looks really nice. Did you get a new haircut or something? And that's not really the case, but what happens is your aura, people who aren't actually sensitive to seeing those things, they'll subconsciously see it. So they'll think it's something different about you that's been enhanced when really it's just your aura. Now, a lot of spiritual people, or spiritually minded people, I shouldn't say spiritual people because we're all spiritual beings having a physical experience, but those who have higher perceptions can sometimes see auras. I used to be able to see auras really well. I honestly can't see them as well as I used to be able to. I just need to work on, continue working on meditation myself. And personally, I've been working on the Saint Germain I Am presence. Definitely going to have to get into some of those in later videos. So through this exercise, the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, it expands your aura. You start to open up to a whole new level of awareness within the self. Enhances connection and rapport with other people. So you're going to notice that you can kind of like almost dominate like a conversation or situation, not in a way that you're saying, oh, I'm in charge, like I'm taking control, but you just have more eloquence and flow, and you're able to communicate maybe your feelings more. You're definitely going to be able to avoid more situations that you wouldn't want to be in the first place, because you're going to have divine protection around you at all times. You always do, but this is like a reaffirming, a reassuring in the mind, so it will manifest, it will come through in the manifestation as a better reality for you. That's kind of what the whole point of this is. We're not impeding on anyone else, we're not taking from anyone else, we're just working on ourselves so we can take that and go outwards and improve the world. People notice an improvement on the outside, but they don't know what it is. I kind of already went over that when people notice those things. It removes and banishes from the immediate area unwanted influences. put a note that there's a good paragraph on page 30. Or remove from your immediate area any unwanted influences. Banishing dispels negative or unwanted physical influences and non-physical ones, including astral and elemental forces. One of the greatest defenses against psychic attack ever. The more you perform it, the more safe you will become. But it's not just a, as I'll get into later because I've got some other notes here, it's not just cleansing the space around you, which it does do, but it's a cleansing of your inner self, and you take that cleansed energy with you, you know, throughout the day. It's an impenetrable, that's a hard word to say, impenetrable field that stays around you and protects you. Okay. So now it gets into the actual instruction of performing it. It's an input-output operation. If you go into this operation or this ritual, you know, in a negative mood, you're really just not focusing on the forms. You're not focusing on the names. You're not taking it seriously because it's a very solemn act. You know, you're in the presence of divinity, not only symbolically, but, you know, really, if you are a true believer in these forces, you are in the presence of the divine. So it is to be taken seriously. It's an input-output process, so remain at peace. Be sure of it. And, you know, when you go into it and you're confident, even if you mess up a little bit, the knowingness that you did it, like, even if it wasn't perfect, like, that's going to supersede, like, the minor errors. That's going to just take precedence over that. It's going to be more important, like, what you know, as long as you really put the effort in. But, you know, eventually you're going to want to make sure you're pronouncing the names and stuff correctly. It's very important. Don't lust for result. The Yogi Raj in particular, he always says the desireless desires. You're supposed to have, like, the goal and aim, but you don't, like, hold on to it. You kind of, like, let it go at the same time so that it can come to you. The desireless desire. And that's how ritual can work. After you perform something, you know, that has a particular objective, you usually want to let go of it so that it can then manifest. Yep. It's important also, along with not lusting for the result, don't focus on the result. Focus on the performance itself. The visualizations, visualizing the geometry and the proper correspondences with the archangels and everything, which we'll be getting into. You're in the temple of God. And, you know, when you're pulling from Kether, the source above, as we're going to get into the Kabbalistic cross, you are pulling from Kether, which is the Sephiroth on the top of the tree of life, and this is symbolic of unity or source. And the earth below is at the bottom of the tree of life, Malkut, the kingdom, as above, so below. Remain modest, as I said before, you are in the presence of the divine. And remember that, like, the archangels and all of these things, they are, you know, very powerful forces of great magnitude, but it's also within you. It's aspects of ourselves. Learning to know the divine is learning ourselves, and learning ourselves is understanding the divine. Remain in the I am presence, the Saint Germain teachings. I want to work more, or read more, and also do more studies on the Saint Germain stuff. I'm only on book 1 of 3, and there are 20 books in the series. There's so much to be researched. The teachings are very powerful. I highly recommend them. I have more of a ceremonial magic background, and more the Golden Dawn, you know, Freemasonry type stuff. So I'm kind of trying to you know, just learn more about it and kind of integrate it into my studies so that I can give you viewpoints on not just what maybe my views are, but, you know, what other spiritual teachings have to say about it. Okay. So now I'm actually going to take a break from the Modern Magic book and jump to this crazy magnum opus. So this is like Crowley. You know, if you're only going to get one book from Crowley, I highly recommend this. It's Magic. It's called Magic Book 4, parts 1 through 4. It includes the Book of the Law, and it's got so much other good stuff in here. And I also didn't mark the page. Not sure why I didn't do that. There we go. It's not too hard to find. Okay. So, and here's a picture. It's a diagram of, so there's the hexagram in the middle, the 6-rayed star. And then here's like the 4 archangels, and it tells you like the planets that are attributed to them. And you're right here, the black circle in the middle. So he talks about the fortress of self and protecting the aura. You know, you have to keep it strong. He says there's a lot of things that attack the aura. Let's see. Besides the central citadel, man has also outworks the aura. This aura is sensitive and must be sensitive. Unless it were responsive to impressions, it would cease to be a medium of communication from the non-ego to the ego. This aura should be bright and resilient, even in the case of the ordinary man. In the case of the adept, it must be radiant. So keep it strong. He refers to this protection as a consecrated box. You know, basically you have all this protection around you. You know, you're in the middle of it. It kind of reminds me of the idea, I've learned it mostly from watching spirit science videos, the Merkaba. It's kind of like a different version of the Merkaba, and you're protected by the archangels and the sacred names of God. 32 correlations. Let's see. That's the note that I wrote. Okay. Where's that note? Yeah, the consecrated box. It flames both above and beneath the magus, or the magus. I've always said magus, who is thus in a cube of 4 pentagrams and 2 hexagrams, 32 points in all, and 32 is the sacred word that expresses the unity of the highest and the human. So it's like unifying the above with the below. It's the as above, so below. And of course, 32 degrees in Freemasonry as well. And then something else about the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Let's see if I can even make the sign. This is known as the sign of silence. I'm sorry, this is the sign of the enter. And you kind of twist your right foot here, and it's kind of pointing at an angle. So your right foot's going to be pointing just straight out like that, and then you take your left foot and you're going to be holding your 2 index fingers, or your athame, which is a blade, in your right hand, and then your left finger, you just put one finger out like this if we don't have an athame. And then the sign of the enter is you put your arms back and then you thrust forward, like so. This isn't a very good example because I can't get much of my body in the video, so I highly recommend looking up other videos for that. Someone who can show you a little bit better. You can either read it in the books, you know, I'm sure if you're watching this video on the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, you're gathering information, and maybe you have watched some videos to see an example of how it's done. But what I found out about, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, it's Harpocrates, Harpocrates. He's the Lord of Silence, Greek god, which was actually adopted from Horus, which we all know who Horus is. He's the son of Isis and Osiris from the Egyptian mythology, the newborn sun. So Harpocrates is also symbolic of Horus as well. And I feel like there was a little more information on him. It says the magician imagines himself in the form of the god Harpocrates, the lord of silence, preferably either in his standing posture or throned. That's actually a different method. That's a method of expanding the aura. So the first method is by performing the daily... Crowley says to perform... A lot of people say to do the banishing ritual 2 or 3 times daily. It's not really necessary. You can. It'll cleanse the crap out of you. That's why I think it's a good idea. I'm going to have to wait until I get into further videos. I'm going to have to split this up into probably 2 other videos. I'm probably not even going to get it all done in just one more video. But yeah, you don't have to do the banishing ritual multiple times a day, but anytime before you do an operation, you should, and anytime after an operation. Otherwise, once a day is okay. If you're just doing the tarot contemplation ritual, you know, for now, if you've been watching the progression relaxation ritual, then you would do the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, to clear the space, and then you would do the tarot contemplation, and then you're done. So normally, under normal circumstances, 1 time. And they also say in the Golden Dawn book, which I'll probably get into in the next video, the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram is really good for in the morning, and then the banishing ritual is really good for nighttime. The invoking is going to bring things more to you. It's more of a calling inwards. And you also do a lot of invoking, especially when you do the middle pillar ritual, which is another ritual, which we'll learn later on. But yeah, for now, just if you are learning the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram once a day will suffice. If you're following the curriculum, you know, at the normal speed. You know, start memorizing the god names and such, which, yeah, we may not even get to in this video, so I'm just going to keep continuing. But I kind of got off track with the Lord of Silence, because in this book, Crowley's talking about it something different there. But that is the god form that you take when you do these signs in the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. In the Golden Dawn book, there's a picture too somewhere of all the different signs. Yep, I'm not going to be able to find it right now. This is a huge book. Anyway, yeah, this has a lot of great information in it as well. It's like the complete works of the Golden Dawn. Great book. I'm getting off track though. All right. All right. Fountain of Light and Power, Kether. All right. Sorry. I am trying to find my spot where I left off in the book. So at the beginning of the ritual, you pull from Kether at the top, and this represents the top of the Tree of Life. Up here And then in front of you, according to this, Raphael. Behind you, Gabriel. Let's see. Michael. And then Oriel. And there's a lot of correspondences with Raphael. You know, that's the east, so it's the sun. Yellow's a correspondence. On the right hand, Michael in the south, Netsack, Venus, Netsack on the Tree of Life, Venus, and green. And then, also I forgot to say, in the east, Raphael to Parith, which is the middle on the Tree of Life. And then there was Netzack, which corresponds to Michael. And then Hod, Splendor, Orange, Oriel. But Oriel is a green, so that's more what you're going to be visualizing once we get to that part. But I'm just showing you how the different angels correspond on the Tree of Life. And then Gabriel, Yesod, Moon. That color is dark purple. This ritual is a microcosmic invocation bringing about a macrocosmic response. It's that whole as above, so below. It shuts you off, he says, from the Qliphothic realms, which are the evil realms. And, yep. You want to visualize the pentagrams and the hexagrams clearly. Don't slur. Visualize the energy clearly. And this, once again, it is not just a banishing, but a transmutation of the soul, the philosopher's gold. And Crowley is a final note here. Basically everything else he puts in here. He's got a couple little cool notes. The consequent result of this ritual being macrocosmic response is that without any effort on your part, the hexagram or sixfold star appears both above and below you. Note the equilibration, 5 equals 6. Interesting. This way you are completely shut off from the outer and Qliphothic parts of the universe. Huh, interesting. A lot of the archangels, commencing with an R, will have a solar head of solar glory, and Pe, which follows, shows that the rest of him is martial. The AL, which concludes the name, in the case of most angelic beings, so Michael, or Mikael, Raphael, Gabriel, Oriel, indicates that they wield the sword and balance. So that's kind of cool. And those who regard this ritual as a mere device to invoke or banish spirits are unworthy to possess it. It's not just for those, it's not just like a clean house ritual, you know. Properly understood, it is the medicine of metals and the stone of the wise. And yeah, there's quite a bit more to cover, for sure. So I want to make sure I get all the information out, that I'm not skipping anything. So this is going to be the end of this video. This is probably going to be split into 3 parts. The Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram. I'll try to bring you more soon. Take care in the meantime. Stay blessed. Have a great day.